Hi all, welcome to the Urban Designer I/O Tech for Urban Design review. We are starting our tech review with Revit. This is a two-part video. Part 1 is going to talk you through setting up a file, and part 2 is about how to use it. I'm also going to share the files we used here. Please comment below how you use Revit for urban design differently, or what other tools you're using to design cities. Thank you. So at the end of this tutorial, it should become clear how Revit can be used to draw master plans for sites of any size, colorful 2D land use plans, as well as 3D massing diagrams.
For the import of surrounding areas, I'm using this program here called CadMapper. I think it's new. I haven't known about it as of recent. So basically on CadMapper, you can download for free a piece of site, and I believe it's OpenStreetMaps based. So take the accuracy with a grain of salt. It has building masses. It also handily has topography associated with that. So this is my settings. I'm using topography at the nearest contours they give me. I'm using 3D buildings, and if it doesn't know the height of the building, I'm telling it to set the height of the building to 10 meters, okay? And I'm going create file, and it creates me the file. So now I'm gonna go ahead and link that file into this project. So you go to insert, link CAD, never insert CAD, downloads. There's the file. So here are the settings. You want to import, well, you kind of want to import to all views, okay? Because you will be using that file in 2D and in 3D and to create your terrain. And your units set to meters, your positioning. We don't have yet shared coordinates. Well, that's another topic for later, is how to import coordinates to your file. And we want to place it at level 1 because we haven't renamed our levels yet. Okay? And you can untick that. So there we go. We have just imported the neighborhood I live in London, into Revit. So first thing what we want to do, because most urban design projects and most urban design sites aren't flat, we want to create a topo surface, which is another handy element within Revit. We want to create a topo surface from this file. In order to do that, you go to massing and site and say you want to create a topo surface. The system will ask you to what you're going to create that topo surface from, and you want to select it from an import instance. So then you pick your instance and check the layer, and I believe in this one it's the layer called contours. And now your topo surface will be generated. Let's have a look. There we go. That's our topo surface created. So you can see some contours have happened. There is a mild elevation change within that small site. The only thing is it imported the, so now you need to know where you want to have the 0 point of your project. So it imported the CAD file at level 1, and the system placed the lowest most point of that CAD file at level 1. Now, if you work with massing, you will work with mass floors, Revit can't adjust the mass floors according to terrain. So you need to kind of figure out where do you want your 0 point to start. Where is the important point of your terrain file, and where does it have to sit? So for instance, if my project itself was located somewhere in the middle of this terrain file, I would place level 0 at about this height, or I would place the file, the CAD file, at this height. So let's edit, as we are in here, let's edit our levels. If we work with massing, first of all, I like this to be called level 0, otherwise I get confused. Revit calling it level 1. And we will rename corresponding views, and we'll call that level 1. And this is about 4 meters higher. Now you need to have a think, is that a good distance for you for mass floors? I am not sure. I like 3.5 meters, to be honest. Yeah. So 3.5 I usually work with. That is quite a generous height. I'd move the layer level a bit down. Sorry, I'm using the wrong term here. And now we want to create a bunch of these levels. The reason being is that we want to assign mass floors to all the buildings, all the mass floors that we create to all the buildings. Yeah, and I'll show you in a second why. We want to create multiple copies. Off we go. 3.5. It automatically calls the levels the right thing. So if you're working on like a low-rise project, that might even be enough. If, as ever, you're working on a high-rise project, it might not be enough. So you might want to copy that one more time to have the right number of levels there for even the tallest building, like for our little residential tower that we've created right there. So now you have this tower. And you assign all the mass floors to it. Here's the mass floor button. And you select all the floors, even if they're way above the mass itself, because Revit itself will know when to start and when to stop calculating all the mass floors. So if a mass floor does not cut a mass, it will not calculate that area. So what do we have there? We now have our site. It has some buildings, it has some roads. We've imported that site from CAD. We might want to trace that in Revit so that we have what we need to work with within Revit. So first of all, we need to go in and turn off the layers that we don't want of the CAD file, such as we might not need the topography now. We might not need the contours, just for simplicity. Let's see what that looks like. Also, we might want to turn that into a halftone. Also, always useful if you plot, trace any plots. You, first of all, mass should always be on, and you want the room separation lines, the setting is under lines, to be really clear and visible. Pick a nice color that you enjoy, maybe orange. I like orange. And pick a nice weight to the lines so that every time you draw room separation lines, you can actually see them. So there we go. So to draw the plots, what you need to do, you need to create room separation line, and you pick the plots. And now comes the situation. You tap yourself through till you hit the right loop. You can see that this auto-generated CAD file, well, makes, you know, lines that are quite complex. It's not a simple shape here, but it has many dots, and it gets more tricky if your room separation line has to follow nerves or curves. It can get a little bit unhappy. All right, so here are two plots. You can see it can actually take quite a little bit of time to trace plots that are within your CAD reference file. And the reason we're doing this is that we have a model of the city at hand that's editable, right? Because we're doing urban design, so we're redesigning parts of the city. So it's like we need a clay that is malleable, that we can model and redesign. The question is, can we forego the CAD step altogether? Can we have a model of a city in a tool that, you know, we can work with easily? So never pick a tiny line out of a closed loop of lines, because it'll make your life hell later on. Try to pick the whole loop. And to pick that whole loop, obviously you need to tap yourself through that CAD file, but you know, oh dear, there we go. I think that's enough for the purposes of this demo. So now we have enough plots, and we can just go ahead and hide the CAD file again. And always hide by category, that makes your life a lot easier. So now let's place some rooms in here. And let's do that with the rooms that we've already drawn. So I believe this was a residential room. Well, no, we called that retail. Let's call that residential. And let's place that all over here, because that's for a fact a residential area. So if that happens to you, you can just undo that. Placing rooms is quite a satisfactory process within Revit, but you know, it's not what the software is made for. You can display room crossings to see where your rooms actually are. They're called reference lines. There we go. Interior fill. Let's turn that on too. Yeah, there we go. Then you see these little buggers. And now, I was mentioning earlier that you can adjust the size. We shouldn't have made that this little, should we? We can adjust the colors. So I quite enjoy having residential in orange. I believe there is no global standard for coloring urban design plans. Retail in my world is always some kind of a pink area. Schools, usually dark blue. And mixed use is a variation of red. Yes, it's like between the retail pink. Okay. There we go. Now our colors will magically change. Let's put this key. Oops. What was that before? 6. Five. Call this 5 and 5. Okay, that's better. Because master plans are big. There we go. So now we have land uses. Let's just for giggles give this some different land uses so you can see that we have a colorful land use plan here. That's cool, that's cool. Yeah. So another nifty thing within Revit for this purpose is the ability to tag things on a plan. It's quite essential if you want to communicate this information to anybody other than yourself. So room tags are, I think, already preloaded into Revit. So this all means that room tags are not visible. Why are you not visible, dear room tags? You never know. I think we hid them before. There we go. Let's edit that room tag so it's fit for purpose. So we edit this family. Revit opens this family. I want to edit this label. So this label, we want to have the same properties as there are in our room. So we need to add those properties that we've just created, such as parcel ID and land use to here. So we need to add this land use, parcel ID to our plot, and whatever name was, don't know, we delete that. And we obviously mostly want to see the area of something we've drawn. We're going to save this. I'm going to give this plot a new name. I'm going to save that on my desktop. And we're going to call this land use room tag. Don't know what this box is. I'm just going to delete it. And after land use, I want a break. And after parcel ID, I want a break. Okay? I usually do everything in one go. And we're going to load that back into our project, which is still called project 1. Time to save. And we're gonna. So, how do we remove this naughty box there from the tag? Edit family. And go to the view settings. And annotation categories. Save everything. Hit OK. Delete the box. Move this one sort of to the center. Actually, let's edit this. Oops, no. Edit label right here. We want digit grouping, and we don't want decimal places for square meters. Okay. I usually have my parcels in hectares, but that's because I work on such large master plans normally. If we label the parcels in square meters, better use digit group. Now this is nice. Well, next time we edit this, we add the square meter number to it. Okay, so now what we have is the room tag. Now we want to tag all the rooms here, and that's the nifty thing about Revit. So we can select the room tag here, the landuse tag. So we say all objects in current view, not only selected objects in current view, and we hit apply. And hit OK. Yep. There we go. They're all tagged. Yeah. This is nice. This is a nice feature of Revit. I wouldn't want to miss that anywhere else. So now if we want to draw some masses, we copy that mass that we made earlier. And we probably want to turn our CAD files back on. There it is. Maybe we need to hide some layers of the CAD file. So if you were designing this from scratch, you might want to have a sketch that you're following, right? So usually that's what I would do. If I draw a building layout, I print it to scale, sketch, and re-import it. I can show you here how you can trace existing buildings so that you convert them into Revit. So you select the footprint lines, and if we were to model this one, for instance, you tab yourself through, select the line, hit OK, and say finish method. It's quite a lot of manual work, yeah, to actually get something done. And you wonder, hey, why can't we see this building? Well, that is because there's the CAD file mass right on top. These two. So I'm gonna go ahead and hide the CAD file again, and now I'm just gonna draw some fantasy massing. Okay. So I'm gonna copy this mass again. Say edit in place. Edit profile. Oh, sorry, kid screaming in the background. And now I'm just gonna draw some beautiful lines. So we want maybe a street-facing mixed-use building here. And to be a little bit better here, I'm just gonna offset that by maybe, what about 10 meters? 10 meters below, maybe 12. Okay, 12 meters offset. And I'm gonna trim this. Oops, trimmed the wrong way around. Trim and connect the lines here. Snap end is SE, and now I'm going to say, yeah, that's okay, and yes, that's okay. Now this one, the good thing is sometimes you can change the name. This is mass 2, mass 1. So you can change the name of the massing. If you go to the families and you go here, mass 2, and we say rename, we'll call it Resi. Okay. I don't know whether names are nested. I don't particularly care. So this one is mass 3. Let's call that, we'll call that mixed use. Mixed use. Mixed use. All right. Let's give it one word for no particular reason. Okay, mixed use. Wonderful. And now we're going to give it another material that is called mixed use. So wherever it says Resi here on the material, where is it? Here, Resi, you see. And I'm gonna go in here into my materials and create one material that is called mixed use. Yeah. In order to create a building that is multifunctional, that has mixed use at the ground floor and residential on top, you need to create two masses and stack them on top of one another. Okay. I'm going to duplicate the residential material and I'm going to call it mixed use. Okay. And I'm going to change this color on to a lovely mixed use color, maybe some purple. I'm going to add this and I'm going to change everywhere that was orange resi to this magenta. It's not purple, right? It's magenta. So if you wanted to create a template for yourselves, it's worthwhile to create the most common urban design elements as materials in there already, and maybe delete all the materials you don't need. All right, we have two different land uses of buildings, and I wanted to show you how to make a multifunctional building. So let's hide terrain from here. Hide in view. Category. That's it. There we are. There we are. There we are. So we want this. So we remember we made our floor height 3.5 meters. So now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna give this one a floor height of 3.5 meters. Now it's just one single sandwich of mixed use. So now I'm going to create a little resi thing on top. I'm gonna go copy, and I'm gonna paste that right here. So now the two are right on top of each other. So you want to be a bit careful doing this, okay? That one wants to go until 12 meters high. So I go to building height and I say it's 12 and I say elevation from ground, elevation from level 3.5. So now it will nudge up. It did. So if I wanted that to be 12 meters tall, we're going in 7th, right? So 14. Really, this should be 14. So we have an even number if our floor height is 3.5. So we have 3.5, 7, 10.5, 14, 3.5, 7, 10.5, 14. So now this one needs to be 10.5. Nope, wrong one. This one needs to be 10.5 and it hovers. There we go. So we need to change the land use here, the building use to residential. And if you type correctly, just as the material is spelled, you can actually type it. Isn't that handy? Sometimes Revit is magical. So what you want to do here, so we have building ID as a property, correct? If we go back to our layout here, we want to call this parcel, we called it parcel 1. But let's call it so this we need to call it like so, parcel 1, 1B, and parcel 1, 1A, so that the building ID combines the parcel ID as well. Okay, and this one we call parcel 1, building 2. All right. Check your spelling. Okay, we didn't make. That's it. Oh, we wanted to rename all the other parcels as well. We can do that in here. So I can go here and call the other parcels. You know, we've started with parcel 1. We can call this one parcel 2. But I can show you how this is easier done on the spreadsheet. So let's do a spreadsheet. So we go to schedules. Hello, schedules. New schedule. And we want to create a room schedule first, okay? Oops. Okay. All right. We want to have area, definitely. Building ID. We didn't assign building ID to the parcels, but parcel ID we want. Then we want to have their landuse. And something that I quite like, did we create that property? I like FAR as the property. We'll create one in a second, okay? I like area to be the last field because it's kind of the output. All right. Well, there we go. And you can see we have all these other parcels now. Of course, we need to delete all the ones that were sitting here sort of as our template. But this should be good now. So the ones that are called not placed are the ones that we just deleted. You can just delete them here. Yeah, so the non-placed rooms you can just delete like so. I don't know where they still hover around in the project, but parcel 1, and we can just call this parcel 3, parcel 4, parcel 5. They might not get numbered in the order that you would like, yeah, but they all get numbered. So if you have hundreds of parcels, that's the way forward, okay? And then I like to see my totals. Okay. I like to see my totals, and I like to see the totals for area. There we go. So that shows me we have 10 parcels, and that's the overall site area. So that's quite an important value for you. If you know how large your master plan area is, you always want to cross-check that here. And so let's go back to our rooms here and do the following. We create a new view. Say duplicate view, duplicate with detailing. Because we want everything to copy, we will rename this and say this is level 0 parcel numbers. And I'm going to show you how you can now color. So I'm going to duplicate the colorful scheme and call it parcel numbers. And now we can color this by parcel numbers. Parcel numbers. So parcel numbers is a property which is called parcel ID. And now if you color this by parcel number, what you should get is a very multicolored layout. Yes, on which no color appears twice. And that's a way for you to check whether A, you numbered all your parcels, and B, whether they're all numbered with different numbers. Usually on master plans, you also have to fill in the rooms that are the roads, because they also form part of your areas, correct?
So I've also gone ahead and created a new property that is called FAR, which assigns a floor to area ratio for each plot, and I've colored my plots by that FAR value, which is quite handy to show where you have high density versus low density areas on your master plan. So I hope this was useful for you one way or another. If you want any clarifications, please comment below and I'll try to reply to your questions. As you can see, Revit isn't quite purpose-built to design cities, but there are workarounds and there are actually nifty features that make it worthwhile. So let me know what you think. Your comments are very welcome. Thank you so much.